Hello and welcome back to Ike's Venting Channel, episode 2. Today we're going to be talking about the education system. Well, more specifically, we're going to be talking about teachers and how they've helped or how they didn't help and how they could have done better. Uh, I am joined by Savangetti and Abyssal Ranger, or Sav and Abyssal for short. Say hello.
Aloha.
Hello.
All right. Uh, to start off, we will have Savangetti. He is currently in school and has a younger, more fresh view on the teaching system. So take it away. Go ahead.
So, as Ike said, I am currently in school. Throughout school, I've had lots of good teachers, some kind of mediocre, and of course, you'll always have your bad teachers, you could say. Uh, and I guess to sort of separate those, your good teachers, it's very obvious, I think, because those are mostly your ones that care and they want you to, you know, do well and, graduate and grow up to be whatever you want to be. And then the opposite side of that spectrum, they're just kind of like, all right, you can tell they're just there to be there and they don't want you to do well. They're just
Dare to push you
there
through.
to. Yeah, exactly. No, yeah, because I had my I had my math teacher these past 2 years who I had for Algebra 1 and geometry. And when I had her for geometry was kind of like when, COVID was still up, but it was just an awkward year because we were doing virtual learning and all that stuff. And so she just kind of, it was just a bad year for everybody, but her specifically was just kind of like, "Oh, you did you did decent on the quiz. All right, I won't go over it. You got a C on it. All right, do better next time."
Yeah.
It was just rough. And then my math teacher this year, oh my goodness, it's crazy. But uh, and I know it's hard to deal with several students, good and bad, but
Would you?
it's just.
Would you say that the teachers were better in person? Like, did
Oh,
you feel like they connected more to you?
oh, absolutely. 'Cause it's just when the only really technology my school had was, we have Chromebooks now, but we
Freaking
only just had
Chromebooks.
iPads.
Yeah.
So for everybody, it was such a big learning curve trying to hand everyone Chromebooks and the chargers and how to use them and log in and how to use Google Classroom and Zoom. It was just it was just a big mess. But after that year, it kind of seems like it's a lot better. I know most people are back in person because of how a lot of people, two of my friends who went virtual, they said it was not fun, so it's a lot harder.
Would you say that the students feel a better connection in person as well? Like you already said that the teachers have a good connection to students when they are in person, but would you say that the students connect better when they're in person as well?
Uh I think so because for I would say it's just a lot easier to teach to learn in person. I know a lot of people, they're like visual or hands-on, or like when you're online and the teacher's like, "Okay, watch this video. This is the only way how to do it." Whereas if you're in person, the student can learn. It's like, "Oh, here's this equation, but I'm going to teach you several ways. I'm going to teach you how they want you to do it versus how I do it, and it also just creates that relationship too, in a way. It sounds kind of cheesy, but uh, there's always some sort of connection or relationship between a teacher and a student, whether the favorite or not.
Yeah. Last thing, who is your favorite teacher? Who do you connect with the most, and who helped you the most?
Ooh. I would, let's see. Probably my world civilizations teacher. She was out of all of probably either her or my 8th grade English teacher. Both of them, they they did care for their students, and it was so obvious that they loved teaching. Like it was just we would watch for the history class. We'd watch all kinds of like it was some series, but we'd watch that, take a bunch of notes, do like in class activities and like debates. It was very interactive, you could say. And then in my English class, we read a lot of well, somewhat classics. I think we read like The Outsiders, and it was just we had like a day for it, and it was just really engaging and not just like, all right, we're gonna flip to page 204 and do questions 1 through 20,
Yeah,
you know.
disgusting. All right,
You're
Abyssal, your
welcome.
turn. Yeah, thank you, man. All right, Abyssal, your thoughts.
Whoa, spaghetti.
Yeah. Um, Teachers, best, worst. But what's up? What you gotta say on it?
So, with my experience with teachers is okay. For inside context, I was in the basic school until 1 till 8th grade at the same school at the
Oh,
countryside where we
what?
lived.
Yeah. 1 second. We should establish that I'm U.S. based.
I'm European.
Abyssal's European, and Sav is U.S. based as well.
So yeah, my
Yeah.
experience with the educational system and teachers will be a whole different stuff. So yeah, the basic school is till first till 9th grade, and I was at the same school until 1 to 8th grade. My mother was a music teacher, and once my 8th grade finished, I graduated 8th grade. My mother left that school, so I also switched to school as well because the director of the school was becoming a jackass. Literally, not gonna lie. Uh, for me, the transaction to a different school for 1 year, it wasn't anything else. I went there purely because of my sister, who was in the 4th or 5th grade, if I remember correctly, at the time, to help her transition into that school. And the difference between, how should I say it? I was a straight A student, a straight 5 student for the Europeans. My top favorite topics were always chemistry, physics, and math. Because the teacher over there, oh, he wasn't nice. He wasn't nice at all. But the way
Oh
he
no.
teached was, but the way he
Oh boy.
teached was so good that I loved it. He went from row to row. He asked homework. If someone said it, if someone gave the stupid excuse that, oh, it was so hard, I don't know the answer, then he always said like, then try. Give me a bad answer at least. And the stupidest stuff is like nobody want. That was just one of the dumbest excuse that people didn't do their homework. And once they reached over me, I gave the correct answer. There were rare occasions where I gave the wrong answer as well, like I don't know, plus minus 2 to the right answer or something.
What's 2 plus 2? Fish.
Yes. And he almost gave like F's for everyone because of it. Because he was tired of people not even trying about it. So for me, when I went to the other school for the 9th grade, then my whole view of schools went like overboard, like it flipped table. When I went to the math class, usually what happened was on my first, the original place where I studied, we didn't use any calculators. We only used calculators when the answer would be like 1.98678 or something like that.
Mm.
It was
Oh,
going to be a
wow.
difficult answer, but everything else had to be in your mind. You had to know how to do it in your mind. And
Sorry that.
I absolutely loved it. But when I went to the 9th grade to the other school, it's like, damn. The first thing in the class when the class happens is, okay, everyone, please take your calculators. And I'm like, oh hell, are we gonna do a test or something? That was my immediate reaction. That's because that's how it went for me. And no, just simplest equations were done with calculators, and I was like, why? It doesn't like help you at all. Like, I understand, yeah, you have a calculator like every day with you, like on your phone, but like you need to have that kind of mathematical thinking as well.
Yeah, that simple mental math.
Yeah, like you need to have that mentality of math. Like I've had multiple
Well, like,
times where I wanted to do a recipe and I need to get the percentage of fat or something, and I do it in my head, like simple as that. But my girlfriend takes the calculator, and I'm like, damn, why? It's simple.
Well,
And for me, it's like I would like the schools to be more harsher. Like, stop being so helpful with the stuff. I understand that like some people need it, but the way my teacher did it was he tried to lengthen the topic until everyone reached that kind of phase that they at least understand it somewhat. Even the people who are like super bad at math. And he will continue forward like he. But
yeah,
like
what's your favorite
the other
teacher?
but the other teachers were like, okay, our deadline is that day. We will do it until that day. That's about it.
Was your math teacher your favorite teacher?
Yes, he
Yeah.
gave me physics and chemistry as well. He was
oh, wow.
for
Multi-talented.
yeah, he was multi-talented. But yeah, a lot of people were afraid of him because when I was younger, when my older brother was in that school, he actually flipped out a few times. Like he yelled a lot. He yelled a lot at students and stuff like that. When I had classes with him, it was chilled out a little bit. Not chill. I can't say that. Like, let's say normal, kind of below normal a little
Yeah.
bit. But yeah, the issue with me is with schools is the some of the teachers are treating students like, oh, you're that special snowflake, and we'll give it like no, not for some students. Like, it depends on the teacher, of course, but most of the times the teachers are like, oh, you're all dumb, so we're gonna give you all the handicap you need,
Yeah.
and we
Oh, yeah,
will
yeah,
not
yeah.
lengthen the deadline of that topic. We will never.
Yeah. I feel that.
And yeah, and that's the biggest problem I had. And because of the 9th grade was like all the topics like chemistry, physics, art, everything was so easy. I was like dumbfounded, and I got super lazy. I was a straight 5 student, and on the 9th grade I had like, for the first time ever, like one like C, and like I didn't have straight A's. because I got just super lazy at math. I just didn't participate at all because I was like, oh, I know the answers, but I don't wanna. It's just too boring for me. Somehow, making it too easy made it so boring for me that I just lost all motivation to study.
All right. Last thing, Abyssal. Do you think that there was a difference in teacher respect to students as you went up in grades, or did it stay the exact same?
Uh, you get a small amount of more respect when you're in higher grades, but it will also depend on the specific person as well. Because for an example, my English teacher, he was a very fun student teacher. We watched South Park and stuff like that. But watching like
Wait,
having those
you
kind of
wait,
yeah,
hold
we
up.
watched
You
South
watched
Park.
South Park in school?
Yeah, we watched South Park in school,
Why?
dude. We
How?
Dang.
That's a cool
yeah, we
teacher right
watched.
there.
Yeah, and throughout the lessons we had, we only spoke English, and we always ranted against him. He ranted against us. We ranted against our own classmates. It was all fun and stuff like that. But he didn't do it with every classes. Even though when we were like on seventh grade, he didn't do it with the ninth grade because the ninth grade were being delinquents. So, in my imagination and what I believe in is you don't get respect the more higher up you are in higher are you, and it depends purely upon your classes and how you and the whole class interacts with the teacher.
Gotcha. All right, thank you. All right, my turn. So when it comes down to teachers and teachers that have helped and did not help, I have very specific names to drop. Uh, R.I.P. Mr. Walker. He was the goat. He's the only counselor in the entire school that gave a damn about any of the students. I think everybody else was just there for a paycheck or didn't know how to deal with a student. It was very it was very refreshing to see Mr. Walker in his office be like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about your grades, but like, did you eat today?" And if you didn't eat, he would have something in his fridge for you to eat. He would ask you how your day was. He would just check in.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he was a very in tune with the students and in not a creepy way. It was great. Like you can tell that he wanted to further a generation rather than push out numbers. So
Oh yeah, that's
it was great. Funny enough, I actually switched counselors. So the counselors in my school, as are most I think U.S. based schools, is that you get one assigned by your last name. You know, but
hmm.
in 11th grade, I was in a class called Avid. Now, at first, I didn't know what Avid was. I had some ill-conceived misconceptions. Uh, I thought it was a place where if you weren't doing so well, that's where like a kind of like a like a remedial type place.
Mm,
That's
yeah,
that's what
yeah.
I was thinking, but completely wrong. Basically, and I think this is kind of unfair to the school system that I was in. They took C students, basically people who were just kind of in the middle, and they made them college ready. You know, like I was able to,
Oh.
yeah, like I was able to write in 11th, 12th grade. I was able to write 5 to 10 page essays uh, with uh, with sources and stuff. And
Oh wow.
yeah, and also whenever I got to 12th grade and 12th grade Avid, they waive fees for college applications. For Sav is getting a call.
T.
Sorry.
It's all right. Um, they get you, they waive your fees for college admissions, or applying anyways. They also waive your fee for, or discounted fee for SATs and ACTs, as well as
Hmm.
have just like a whole pool of resources for you. And I have to admit, I did not take full advantage of it. In high school, I did not care about the schooling. I felt, and I still feel this way. When I was in school, they didn't teach me anything I didn't already know. Uh, I was lucky enough to be one of the few people who liked education outside of school. I self-educated. I went to libraries. I read books. I watched the news, sources, and blah blah blah, so on and so forth. And everything that I learned inside of school was uninteresting and boring because I had already known it, you know? And I think one of the only times I was ever challenged as a student was I was in this guy's class. It was an English class, 11th grade. His name was Mr. Pernoon. Uh, and that man is also a goat. He rides a motorcycle. It's cool as hell. Uh, but much like Abyssal's teacher, he was harsh in terms of results, but he was never mean. He was always there for you. You can always ask questions, you can always go to him, and he would also come to you. You know, Pernoon got me as close to college level, other than Avid. Avid was like a resource pool, but Pernoon got me there, like for writing, for reading, for analyzing. Um, and I think that more schools should have teachers like that, because then you have I'm not going to drop names because I don't want people's reputations to be weird, but then you get some teachers that not only care about numbers, they don't even care about the students. They actually just care about something different, like perfume. For the people that listen, you know who I'm talking about. Scents, bruh. Or when the administration, that's one of the bigger things that I have a problem with, is outside of teaching a classroom, teaching kids how to be human. I think that's another thing
Oh,
that the school system kind of
absolutely.
fails at, you know. Like they put these unrealistic rules and standards and in place, and what you're teaching them is to not be, I wouldn't say self-reliant, but it's hard to explain. There were just too many rules, too many dumb rules, like hats, cell phones. Uh,
Yeah,
you couldn't wear a specific type of legging at one point for girls or guys if they want to wear leggings. They're pretty comfortable, not gonna lie. Uh, but the major thing for teaching, right, is you should be there not for a paycheck. You shouldn't be there for tenure. You shouldn't be there for anything other than wanting to further the youth generation, to build them up to something greater. And I don't see that a lot. There's very few cases where you'll find uh, people who actually care. Like Mr. Wong. Mr. Wong was cool. Like if we're talking about the most chillax teacher I've ever had, Mr. Wong, he taught me algebra, and he would allow you to be on your phone, to listen to music, to read, to write, as long as you got your work done, right? And let me tell you,
oh yeah.
there were very few people that didn't get their work done. Everybody sat down, everybody got their stuff done, and everybody chilled afterwards. There was no teacher that was like, or I should say a whole bunch, all the teachers other than the few that were chill were like very strict on what you can do. Couldn't even talk in classrooms most of the time. They wouldn't allow that. It was weird. But I'm gonna wrap it up and say the teacher I connected to the most was actually in middle school. I think it was 7th grade, 8th grade. It was a history class. It was or I should be more specific. It was an American history class. This man was a Texan. He loved his dark Texas roast coffee. And as I grew up, as I got older, I was able to visit him. We used to play chess. After his classes, we used to drink coffee, just talk about books and history. It was great. And if I could find a trait of his to take to me, it would be the creativity of his learning, or of his teaching abilities to have the kids learn. Because I remember doing like projects, right? Instead of homework, we had projects, and let me tell you, that was the best. That was the most fun time I have had in a classroom ever. But yeah, all right, and that's it for me. So any concluding statements? Remember, keep it short.
Just be aware that there's a difference between teachers that do care and want you to do well, and then there's a difference between, like we had discussed, teachers that just are just there to just get you
Yeah.
on through, and that's about it.
My advice would be is, even though we rant about these teachers and we have like some of the bad memories about the teachers, don't think too harshly about them, because like I said, my mother was a music teacher, and a teacher's job is super challenging for your mental health, and I've seen what it does to her. So yeah, keep in mind to that uh, even though they might like feel lifeless or they don't care, they once did care, but just their mentality is now went overboard.
Good. My piece of advice is a little of both. Keep a realistic standards. Remember that your teachers are human. They will mess up, and they're not all powerful. They are not the best thing that will ever happen. They are flawed just like the rest of us. So, like Abyssal said, yeah, don't judge them too harshly. But like Sav said, there are teachers out there that are just there for a paycheck. And if you feel that that's the case, if you feel like you're not getting the proper education, speak to your counselor, speak to, if you don't have a counselor, obviously somebody who's in charge, and get to the classes that will benefit you the most. Because at the end of the day, that's what you're there for in school. You're not there to, I mean, the social aspect of school is great, but you're not there to really purely hang out. You're there to learn, to grow, and to find yourself as a person. And you can't do that in an environment that won't allow it. So keep that in mind. All right. That concludes episode 2. Thanks, guys. Leave a like and subscribe if you can, if you want. I'm not threatening you here.